In today's episode, we have Perla, the author of Twisted Affection, who talks to us about how she had to deal with phantom kicks and phantom hiccups and how that affected her life and her work experience. So stay tuned for another inspiring and empowering episode on Unapologetically Woman. Welcome to Unapologetically Woman, the podcast where women come together to share their unfiltered experiences navigating womanhood. Join us as we dive into candid conversations about periods, perimenopause, postpartum bleeding, miscarriages, and more. This is a safe space where we embrace the raw, real, and often unspoken aspects of being a woman. Get ready to be empowered, inspired, and heard. This is Unapologetically Woman. Welcome back, everybody, to Unapologetically Woman. Today, I have with me Perla, who is a wonderful and loving wife and mother and nonprofit worker. And she is the author of the recently published book of poetry and prose called Twisted Affection. And her writing is about overcoming and breaking toxic cycles and mindsets of all kinds. Thank you so much, Perla, for joining me and for this beautiful work that you put out into the world.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
Yes, I'm excited as well. So you guys, I was talking to Perla earlier, of course, and her story is something that I definitely cannot relate to. I'm not even going to lie, but her story is dealing with phantom kicks. Okay, so all you mothers out there, you can most likely relate to this, and all those of you who are pregnant now or you are thinking about getting pregnant, this is information that you should know and you should be aware of. And we're going to start with Perla's story. So we're going to start with Perla talking to us about her pregnancy and what age she was, the environment, if she wanted to get pregnant, and just the circumstances around that.
Yeah, so I got pregnant about 29 years old, and our baby was fully prayed for, planned for. I had gone through all the counseling to make sure that we were ready, it's going to have no problems. And wow, I was in for a big shock. So yeah, that's my first bit of advice is get through all the counseling first, because pregnancy can make a lot of things pop up that you weren't expecting.
And what do you mean by that? Make things pop up? Like, give us a couple of examples.
Yeah, so if you have any childhood trauma or even like PTSD that you didn't know about, that could shine through.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I guess that makes sense then. Like I feel like us as women, like we manifest so much when our body is going through the changes. Like even when it comes to our menstrual cycle, it's like things get more intense, So I can only imagine during pregnancy and you are preparing your body for another being to come into this world, that there are a lot of things that come up about yourself. So, wow, that is truly amazing. Did not think about that. Like at all.
And like your identity is changing and you're trying to protect this little being inside of you. And so, yeah, just you're trying to protect them with everything you have.
So when did, I guess, you're pregnant, when did you start to kind of notice that, your mindset, things about your past were coming up? When did you actually start to notice that?
I'd say probably second semester. Yeah, I just realized how helpless I felt. And yeah, it's really difficult to realize, oh, wow, I'm going to be completely responsible for this other human. And, there's a lot of things that you have to let go of that you can't help. And there's other things that, you try to create boundaries with your parents, your grandparents, aunts and uncles. And then with your own body changing so much and trying to tell people, you're okay, don't touch the belly, that kind of thing. I thankfully never had a problem with that, but I was all geared up for a response. And if anybody told me, oh, you shouldn't drink that decaf coffee, I was ready, but I was a little bit upset that I actually didn't have anyone comment.
Oh, wow. So you were a bit upset. So you said this was like your second, your second trimester.
Yes.
Okay, wow. So all these things start to come up, which I honestly, it never dawns on me because I only think about like the physical aspect, of what you're saying, about your body, but I'm not thinking about like the mental aspect of you, bringing another child and it's your first child at that. So it's not like you can be like, okay, we're going to do it differently this,
Right. And it could also be that I was too tired during the first trimester to even think about these things. I mean, I was very active before pregnancy. I would go for runs. And I found within about 11 weeks pregnant, I could not walk more than 15 minutes without getting lightheaded. And I once even had to sit down on the sidewalk. And I was really considering calling an Uber to take me 2 blocks back home. That's how out of it I was at only 11 weeks.
Okay, and so you're saying you're going through all these changes, even physically, like you are going through all these changes. And earlier, when we were talking, you said that you were working the entire time. So how does that also play an effect in what you are going through? Because you're having to stop, like literally in your tracks. And yet you're still working, and I'm assuming 8-hour days, right? Like this is okay. So how is this affecting you even more then?
So I was working at a desk job. Thankfully, I could not have made it any other way. And my husband, once I started getting bigger, my husband actually got me one of those little mechanical grabbers from Amazon. So I could like not have to reach down to get printer paper.
Oh, yeah.
And because that alone kept me going like another 2 months because it was so painful just to bend down. But it was really difficult. I had to take off like several days of work. There was one time that I did not sleep for about 3 days and 3 nights because the acid reflux was so bad. And like I was just sitting up. I could not lay down because I was so sick, and I had to get prescription medicines, and it was just really, really horrible. And thankfully, my job was pretty accommodating at that point. But if I had to be like standing or anything, there's no way I would have just passed out.
And one of the things that I feel like we kind of bring up and talk about a lot on the show is women feeling like, they have to stay in their place of employment while they're going through this, like, and being like a bit of afraid to speak out because you don't want to lose like your job, because you're pregnant, and you know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
I don't know, when does it become, actually that brings me to the other points we were talking about, right? Because you're already going through the stress and this difficulty already, and it seems like you're just pushing through. But what ends up happening with you pushing through?
I got preeclampsia and very high blood pressure. It was actually right after Thanksgiving. I came back to work. I had just a regular checkup, and my OB asked me, "How are you feeling today?" And I said, "This is the best day I've had this entire pregnancy. I feel active. I'm not sick." And he said, "Well, we actually have to admit you to the hospital right now because you're preeclamptic." It was so devastating. I finally felt good. And I was going to have to be on bed rest for a couple days before.
Oh, wow. That is totally insane and crazy to me. Like, so I'm more like, that's so crazy. Like oh, wow. So you had high blood pressure, and this basically had to force you to stop working. So now you're being forced to be in the hospital at this point. And I remember earlier you were mentioning, the things that, you didn't expect during the pregnancy. And one of the things you mentioned, off camera were the kicks and the hiccups.
Right.
while you're pregnant. What exactly, like, do you mean by the effects of the kicks and the hiccups and how that affected you actually, not just at work, but your daily life?
So anytime I would feel kicks, that was a bit more okay. I could track it down that, okay, it's my baby just moving. And it was actually kind of fun because I was able to poke the spot where she would kick and she would kick back. And it was a really fun game that we could go at for 8 times in a row. And it felt like we were bonding. It was amazing. But the hiccups were just so uncontrollable. And it was just inside my belly was just little explosions. And it was scary, and it would just make me break down and cry no matter where I was, including at work in my cubicle.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Because I don't even I feel like I hear about kicks, and, and that's really cool. That,
Yeah.
she's kicking, hey,
Yeah.
that is so
But playing
amazing.
patty cake.
Yeah. Like I like it. Like she's playing patty cake with her feet or in your like that is so cute. But the hiccups, I feel like that is my first time hearing about hiccups. But two, how did you know it was hiccups? Like, how did you determine that was what was happening?
Google.
Oh, okay.
And everyone's experiences are different because some people say, oh, it's so cute when they hiccup, just some little thing. No, it was terrifying for me.
Oh, wow. And wow. So did you find the hiccups were happening often because you were subconsciously terrified of it? Or do you feel like it wasn't that often? It was just when it did happen, it was terrifying and it was emotional.
It was probably once a week.
Once a week. Whoa. Okay.
And random times. It could be when I was asleep and I would just wake up, or in the middle of the day.
Oh, wow. That is just interesting. And the way you describe it's okay, it's just this little explosion, that's happening inside of your body. And that doesn't really, even a little explosion doesn't sound pleasant.
Right. And I mean, I felt like I was fully prepared for everything. I had done all the book reading, all the Google and Pinterest reading. And I mean, I had worked with kids and moms before in the past. So I really wasn't that prepared for some of this stuff.
And now that you say that, I'm glad that you said, you did take the initiative, the intent, the actions to prepare yourself for, like you said, this human that is about to be birthed. But nothing really could prepare you for what you're going to experience when it came to it's it's being kind of book smart, and then when you actually
Right. Exactly.
and that's why I think it's great that you're sharing your story, because I think that's how women can equip themselves more too, just like you were, you're doing the counseling, you're equipping yourself, but also equipping yourself with women who've already gone through the process. And even though it's going to be different, they will tell you something that somebody else will not tell you.
Right. And hopefully for all the women out there, they'll say, oh, that was no big deal for me. Or, they'll be fully prepared, and then they'll say, oh, yeah, I didn't experience that at all. So, hopefully you won't get the worst case scenario and your mind won't react crazily to it.
And that's interesting you say that, because it is based on that person's mindset and, like you said, and what they've gone through that's triggering those things, because it's a hiccup, but it's triggering this emotional response from you.
Right.
So that's very interesting. And, as women, not downplaying a woman's experience, I think is also very important. Your experience with the hiccups, you're like, nope, don't like it. Somebody else experience with the hiccups was like, oh my gosh, it was sick,
Right. They might love it. Right.
And it's both of them are completely fine, and I want everyone who's listening to understand that, and to be mindful not to, say things like, oh, well, that was fine for me. Nobody cares at that moment when somebody
Right. When somebody's having a huge breakdown, yeah, I don't really care that it was fine for you. Like, good for you. I'm glad, but okay, but please move on.
Yeah, it's like there's no reason, we have to understand that you don't have to always say things, people. Like you don't always have to say things, you can just be like, oh my goodness, like, how did you go through? You can be comforting. You don't have to like thrust in your story. And so,
Especially when you thrust in that wasn't an issue for me, then the person who does have that issue, they feel so isolated and alone because they're bringing it up because this isn't talked about. So by saying, no, you're the only one, okay, that hurts even more. What is wrong with me now?
exactly. And
That brings so much guilt, within it too. Of, okay, am I not fit to be a mom? Like, what's the issue here?
wow, I'm so glad this point is being brought up, because that is a very important aspect that we have to be more conscious of as women. And I'm about to stop saying conscious, it sounds too spiritual. We have to start just being more aware of the words that are coming out of our mouth. We have to be aware of when our ego is taken over and we're not being present for the person in front of us. And I really appreciate your story. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, you guys. Okay. And we're going to come back. Okay. Because we ended, she was pretty much forced out of work, you guys. Okay. Because of preeclampsia. And, we're going to go into the second half of what happens after the birth and those phantom kicks that we were talking about earlier. So stay tuned. Welcome to Unapologetically Woman, the podcast where we dive into all things related to women's health, empowerment, and success. I'm Miss Tonya, a dedicated life coach using menstrual cycle synergy to help women executives, women entrepreneurs, and corporations, helping them establish better policies to accommodate women. If you are enjoying today's episode and want to stay updated with our latest content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Share this video with a woman who would benefit from our discussions. We're always looking to grow our community and empower more women. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing the insights you gained from today's episode. And don't forget to like this video to show your support. If you are watching during the premiere, make sure you leave a comment during the premiere below in order to enter into our monthly giveaway where you'll receive live CBD resin gummies, CBD skincare products, a period tracker planner, and a spa certificate. Winners will be tagged and announced. New episodes premiere on YouTube on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. If you're ready to take the next step towards your own empowerment, book a free 15 life coaching session with me. Visit www.mstonya.com to schedule your session today. For corporations looking to support women's health, I offer consulting services to help implement better policies. Want to be a guest on our show and share your story? Visit our website or find the link in the description to express your interests. Thank you for being part of our community. Subscribe now, click the notification bell, leave a comment, like, share, and join us on this empowering journey. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on Unapologetically Woman. Welcome back, everybody, to Unapologetically Woman. We are here with Perla, who is giving the raw and authentic experience about her first pregnancy. And today's topic is mainly about phantom kicks and hiccups and how that triggered Perla. So we are going to start from the point in her story where, she's in the hospital, she's given birth, and her experience after delivering her baby girl. So Perla, let's start with, you're in the hospital. What happens after the preeclampsia experience?
So my baby had to go into the NICU for just a couple days. She was totally fine. Really, I was the one that wasn't fine with the blood pressure, and postpartum depression started happening. And they'll tell you at first, oh, it's baby blues. And if it continues, then it's something to worry about. Well, yeah, it was pretty bad already from the beginning. So a lot of people will wait and, try to stick it out, see if they feel better. And I even just waiting 3 weeks was too long. I should have tried to get treatment right away because it got so bad. And definitely within probably the first 3 weeks was when the phantom kicks and hiccups started. And it just completely blew me away. I had no idea that it was a thing. And yeah. So it's the exact same feeling as when you're pregnant and your baby kicks inside of you or has hiccups. It feels the exact same.
Oh my gosh, I'll let you shocked, Jessica.
I'm shocked because I'm like trying to like pick, like, is your belly moving? Like what's happening like to your body when it happens?
It just feels like it is inside. Because even when she would hiccup while I was pregnant, you wouldn't see anything with the belly. You'd only see it for some kicks, like really forceful kicks when they're bigger. So, right, you wouldn't see anything. But it felt the exact same. And I had some people on the internet saying, oh, it's gas. Well, I still have gas. And I know there's a difference. Like, all the gas didn't go out of me. Like, I'm, postpartum. Like, I got a lot. Okay.
That's so, it's like not funny, but it's funny at the same time because of the things that like we don't talk about, like as women, like the changes that actually happen, like your urethra, right? It's the elasticity is a little bit different, once you have this birth, of this baby, like the things just start to change. And, even women who have hysterectomies, now they're more gassy because there's no more, like there's a big space there now. So like talking about that is very important about like the changes that are happening in your body. So you're having these still phantom kicks, phantom hiccups. Now you're getting people on the internet who are like, oh, this shit is gas, blah, 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 right? But how did you know and confirm, like, I'm having these phantom kicks and hiccups?
I think there was some kind of article or something, and there were a few women that said, oh, yes, I've had that. And I would ask, okay, like, how long did it take for it to go away? And I would say, oh, my child is 15 years old, and I still have them. Yes. And then some would say, oh, it went away after, a couple months. But for them to say, I had several women, they're like, oh, 10 years old, 15 years old. I was like, you just still have them? Like, what? There's nothing to be done.
Wow. Like the body is amazing because, we're mainly made up of muscle, right? And it's like, your body as a mom is remembering, your baby and the movement of the baby. And, even research has shown that there's parts of the baby cell that ends up in the mom's brain. I don't know if you saw that research. So it's like your baby is still a part of you and always a part of you. Actually, there is no never ending when the baby is like, when you are not connected to your child, even biologically, like you're always connected. So, wow, the experience, I wonder, if it always happens to women and maybe some women get used to it, they get comfortable, or like, I wonder, like, that's just very interesting. But also a good point that you brought up is that everyone's experience is different. Some were for a month, some were for over a decade. Like, so it's just basically you have to go with the flow.
Yes. And I have seen some women say, yes, I had sexual trauma, so it triggered me every time. And they're going on with it as phantom kicks, and it still triggers them every time.
That makes sense. I mean, sexual trauma is not something to just get over, of course.
Right.
And if you're having these reactions in your body, so what about you then? With the kicks and the hiccups, how did you come to deal with the kicks and the hiccups? Did you try to track them? Did you try to incorporate certain foods? Did you do research? How are you on your journey?
There's really nothing to do with research. Yeah, there's nothing about like foods or times of days really, especially since my child was more active in my womb at night, but the hiccups and all that would just be random. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It just kind of started happening less for me, and now it still does kind of stop me in my tracks, but I don't like break out crying or but I do have to like stop what I'm doing and kind of tell myself, okay, you're okay, your baby's in daycare or, like on the other side of the room, wherever. Because that is a big thing, is when you have phantom kicks, it kind of takes you back of where's my baby? And because the baby's not in you, but it's kind of like, okay, like, is that my baby over there? Why is my baby inside of me still making all these movements? So that was a really weird thing for me, is trying to bond with my child, because I kind of felt like maybe she wasn't mine or some weird thing with the way that my body was reacting. Even though I had pictures, like it was clear that was the kid that came out of me in the C-section. So, but yeah, it's a weird bonding thing, and it took me over a year to feel like I was having like bonding feelings. Even though, again, like I felt like I was bonding with her while I was pregnant. But after the fact, it was a really weird thing.
Oh, wow. That is very interesting. Wow. But you did actually improve. Like, listening to your story, like you actually stopped your mind from going into this other space, and taking you to this other space. You actually caught yourself. So that is actually how you started to basically improve. You're like, okay, this is happening.
Right.
And you were able to control your, how do you say, like your crying, right? When you would just start crying. So you were able to actually start to, okay, like, so over time, you start developing like, this is okay. This is fine.
Yes.
You be safe.
I did take a lot of counseling and medication though. Like I could not have done it. Like I would not be here alive if I didn't have both the counseling and the medication. And with the medication, a lot of women think that, oh, they put me on this medication and it should make me better. Well, we had to change to like 3 different medications, tweak the dosages until it finally like reacted to my brain. Because everyone's chemistry is different. And so it's really important, to not just give up. That's so hard. Because if you wait, then it becomes unmanageable, and then you might have to be hospitalized or something. And that's even scarier, to be away from your child.
Wow. Perla, that is just such an impactful story. And also, I love how you let women know it wasn't just my mindset. Like I had to get counseling and I was on medication. I just didn't do this on my own. Thank you for that, because, I think sometimes women get scared to seek help because they get turned away so often because their feelings are just so downplayed because they are a woman. And it's like, someone else could walk into that office and be like, hey, I'm experiencing, oh, well, it's normal. You're a woman. You're going to experience that.
Exactly. And that's also saying that I had a very extremely supportive husband. And I cannot imagine not having that. So the, ladies that are single or just have, a man child that they're having to deal with on top of their child. Oh, like if your doctor does not listen to you, get another one. Like, don't wait. Don't let them make you feel dumb or, crazy. Just get another one. Keep trying until somebody listens to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Perla. And we're going to stop it right there, you guys. But before we do, Perla, Is there anything that you would like to let us know as women, how we can help and support you along your journey?
Yeah, so I recently released my poetry book in January, and it's called Twisted Affections. And yeah, it took me over a decade to write this, and it's just about overcoming all different kinds of mindsets and relationships, not just romantic either. And you can actually see one of my poems called Postpartum, and it's about, this journey with phantom kicks. And then the next one is when I was healed and how I now feel about my relationship with my child and just how she's the light of our life right now.
Wow, that is so beautiful and inspiring. Everyone, make sure you check out Perla's book. Purchase it. Links are down in the description, you guys. Twisted Affections. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. This was great.
And you guys stay tuned as we go into our closing. Thanks for joining us today. Learn more about our guests in the description below. Download your free period tracker to stay in tune with your energy levels, mood, cravings, and your flow. Interested in being a guest on our show? Complete the form in the description. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts on today's episode and be entered into our surprise monthly giveaway. For women looking for a natural way to relieve menstrual cramps, try live resin gummies to ease menstrual cramps. The link is available in the description. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering content. This is Unapologetically Woman.